All right, hello, boys and girls. I'm actually a eighth grade history teacher, but I did teach some sixth grade material. So we're gonna go over Southeast Asia, just so you have a lesson and not just write notes. So Southeast Asia, all right. So Southeast Asia would be considered right here in Pakistan, India, Nepal, and Bermuda, which would be this area right here. All right, and countries that we have in there are India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Syria. Some major cities are New Delhi, Mumbai, which are mostly here in India. India is the largest country out of all of them. Some physical features are the Himalayas, which have Mount Everest, Ganges River, and the Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean's right down here. All right. Some settings that you should know about are, the Himalayan Mountains, which protects the northern border from foreign invaders. That doesn't really happen much anymore, but it is a very high mountain. A lot of people do try to climb Mount Everest. It's a bucket list that a lot of people try to get accomplished. A lot of people do die trying to climb Mount Everest, though, if you look it up. But it is something that a lot of people from around the world try to do. They try to climb Mount Everest so they have that title that they climbed it and survived and all that. India has thousands of miles of river, which helps for transportation. So if you look back at the early history, we would trade a lot with India, and we tried to get to a faster route with India, or from Europe to India, because of their spices. They would travel a lot through riverways, and one way that we would trade with them was through their rivers when we'd enter through the Indian Ocean. The delta formed by this river right here and the Ganges River has created some of the world's richest farmland. So the reason why they have a lot of spices is because they have a lot of water to be able to grow. Because remember, spices are considered, fruits and vegetables. Okay, let's go on. So the culture of South Asia, they have a very standard form of living, and it's kind of low. And if you look at it, a lot of these people don't live too long. Compared to America. They don't make that much either compared to, the United States. And their literacy rate is about a 70, which is okay, but it's not the best. But like I said, that has to do with, their GDP and their life standard. Education is pretty poor quality, and opportunities are not equal for males and females. Males are more pushed to go to school in a lot of these countries versus females. So there's a lot of, I guess you could say sexism between males and females, not allowing females to go to school. Also class, if you're poor, they don't really encourage poor kids to go to school. They encourage them to work instead. And that should come up in a little bit. Their culture, they have many different languages, which is Hindu. They do speak English. English is taught in school if they go to school. A lot of kids that go to school or learn English, they know Patush and Urdu. Have a hard time saying that word. The most popular religion includes Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. These are their symbols right there. Holidays that are linked to the religion. This is one holiday. It's considered a festival of lights. All right, and mostly Hindus believe in that culture. They also celebrate this one right here. I have a hard time saying that word, so I'm not going to try to say it, but that's a holiday they celebrate. Some famous things you should know about them, like famous monuments. One is the Taj Mahal. It's one of the most famous pieces and considered an attraction of one of those world's 7 wonders of the world, and it gets about 7 million visitors a year. And what's crazy about the Taj Mahal? This was a kind of a king fell in love, but his girlfriend died, or his wife. So he made this in her honor, to honor her. So it's kind of like just honoring their loved one that passed. Another thing is in the Hindu culture, or in the South Asian culture, is they have a lot of Bollywood films. Those are films that have music and dancing and all kinds of stuff. And then they have this instrument right here, Sitar, which is this instrument right here. You should check it out. It actually sounds pretty cool. So when I was talking about earlier how like poor people are divided and, like from rich to poor. So they have something in India. They don't really follow it that much, but it was very heavily influenced. It was called a caste system. It was a hierarchy organizing people into social groups based on their jobs. So basically from poor to rich kind of mentality. So we have the priests and teachers. That's what they would call them. They were somewhat respected. Then we have the warriors and rulers. Those were right here. So you see that the priests and teachers are kind of the highest. Then we have our warriors. Then we have our traders and merchants, which are these guys right here. And then we have our laborers or non-skilled, so people that work like hard labor jobs. Then there's the untouchables, these people right here. They were not favored. They don't like a lot of them because they're considered poor. In the 1950s, the Constitution outlawed discrimination of one's caste. So from like the early 80s all the way to 1950s, they had the caste systems. Eventually, the Indian government made it illegal to discriminate somebody based on their class because, in America, if you're poor, you have the opportunity. You do have opportunities to try to get out of that situation. Try to go to school, get a better job, or, try to do something to make yourself better. In the caste system, if you were considered like an untouchable or something, people really wouldn't try to help you if you tried to apply for a job and they knew you were labeled an untouchable. Well, they wouldn't want to give you a job. So they made that illegal so that people that were in the lower class can try to get to the higher class or, make a better life for themselves. In early times, the British actually took over South Asia, largely India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Muhammad Gandhi worked to get independence from the Great Britain. So Great Britain not only owned America, but they also owned India. And that was for a long time that they owned India. It was all the way to the 1940s when India got its independence. However, Muslims were afraid that they would be overruled by Hindus. Therefore, modern-day Pakistan and Bangladesh were created. So India, like I said, it's a big country. Let me go back a little bit. So India was a big country. It used to actually have these other countries. But remember, there's different religions. And, Muslims and Hindus were afraid that they were going to fight with each other. So they decided to make Pakistan for one religion and, Nepal and this country and Bangladesh for other religions. Let's see. Politics, well, they have a limited government, meaning that the government doesn't have too much power. It's a constitutional monarchy. They have a king, but the king doesn't have any power. They have a republic, so there's people that they elect. So they have a president and they have a king. The king is kind of just there as a face, but the government is the one that runs everything. So that's what kind of government that they have. More about their politics. They have 3 branches of politics, just like us, which includes an executive, which is your president, legislative, and which creates laws, and then judicial that reviews their laws. So it's kind of the same as us, but like I said, they have a king. India's constitution was written in the 1950s, identifying individual freedoms and abolished discrimination based on castes. Like I said earlier, they got rid of discrimination based on your social status, if you're or poor or rich, whatever. Citizens from India do have the right for freedom of speech and expression. However, the Constitution allows the government to place limits on freedom of speech. So in America, we have freedom of speech. We don't have limits. The only, limit you have is you can't really threaten to hurt people. That's one limit that we kind of have, which is, it's needed because you can't just go around, hurting people or saying you want to go after somebody. But in India, they have the right to put limits on freedom of speech more than we do. So they're not that much free than us, but they do have some freedom. They're a little bit more freedom. Okay, so their economy from South Asia countries, they have traditional economy, meaning that they trade. India is a developing region and has diverse economy, including farming, agriculture, and manufacturing. So they have their farmers and they have their factory workers. Many of Indian products are cotton. And even from the early times, Columbus era, back in the, I believe, 1400s, they were trading cotton a lot. A lot of it was spices, but they did trade a lot of cotton. So even from then to now, we get a lot of cotton from these countries. Most South Asian countries' levels of economy are level 2, so that's kind of low. In 2020, India was the 5th in the world's GDP ranking. However, majority of the people living there are very poor. So they do have the rich people, but there is a lot of poor people in India. And you can read this. This isn't that important. All right. So that's it for that. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll help you out. Thank you.